What an incredible lot of information. You are going to have opportunities to discuss, explore, take further the information that we got this morning in the breakout sessions. We have a lot of great questions and not a lot of time. So what I made the executive decision to focus a few questions, take a few extra minutes of your time before lunch, to focus on a few questions that have to do with understanding the study, so that when we go to the breakout sessions in the afternoon, people will have the best understanding of what it was saying. A lot of the other all the questions were great, and a lot of the other ones we can be discussing in the breakout sessions. So I'm going to ask Beth a few questions, and then I'm going to ask you for another minute so that we can find out your interest in the various breakout topics, and during lunch we can set up for those topics. So there's a number of questions that have to do with understanding the difference between families being offered an intervention and them taking it or getting it. So how much were people screened out versus they decided not to take an intervention? And the difference between offering something and studying the impact.
Thanks, because that's a really important question. And there were two stages of screening in the study. The first stage was prior to random assignment, where we asked families questions that the different programs told us were screening items for them. And we asked questions of the form, some programs require you to be clean and sober and to demonstrate that sobriety. Do you want to be considered for that kind of program or not? Some programs require you to have an income of X. Do you want to be considered for that kind of program or not? Please tell us honestly, because we don't want to send you someplace that's not going to take you. And at that stage, there was very little screen out, the least from the permanent housing subsidies. There are a few criminal convictions that they had to deal with, and arrears to the housing authority, knocked a couple people out, not very many. There's a little bit more screen out from rapid rehousing, mostly around income and employment sorts of things. There was a lot of screen out from transitional housing, and a part of that was the additional questions from transitional housing is, does the family composition and size fit what the program has on tap? Okay. Then we give families the offer. We say, go to this program, they're expecting you, they have an opening for you, and take it up. And at that point, families can end up there or not, and they can end up there or not for a couple of reasons. One is that they may try and the program screens out more, they ask additional questions, or they may just think this is not going to be very useful for me and I'm not going to go and take it up. And then in the case of rapid rehousing or housing subsidies, so not so much transitional housing, they can get their subsidy and they could not find a unit, right? And so where we have information there is from qualitative data. That's just 80 families, but 20 of them were from Alameda. And that's where we found why families were making choices, and a lot of it had to do with location, and it had to do with whether they thought the program would help them or not. But we can't always tell what happened at that second stage, because more families, in particular for rapid rehousing, more families said that they were screened out of rapid rehousing than rapid rehousing programs said they screened out families. And I think what happened was that, talking to Sage Foster, he would say, well, we might tell a family, come back when you have some income, and that would be perceived by the program as being open to the family once they got some income, and it was perceived by the family as being, forget us. So there are differences in perceptions there.
Research done in the study about correlation between adults timing out of CalWORKs benefits and housing stability or homelessness, and did the study look at all at families with or without local relatives, or being able to connect with local people?
No and no. I'm afraid we don't have any information about that on CalWORKs. We don't know why a family wasn't using it if it wasn't using it. Since we know that the CalWORKs usage went up after people went into shelter, we assume that they would have been eligible earlier, that they hadn't timed out. but that's not everybody, and we don't know why the rest of them weren't using their CalWorks. And we don't have information about local supports and relatives.
Liz, did you have something specifically on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to, during this time of the study, it was during the stimulus time, and we got a big influx of money. And we were trying out rapid rehousing on a large scale, and that was our first big push. We've evolved a lot since then, so what you're saying about rapid rehousing at that time is probably true, but now that's not true. We serve people with a lot of deeper needs. We don't screen people out like that anymore, because we really have a lot of different rapid rehousing programs that are for particular populations that are really tailored to folks. I just want to update. Yeah.